Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, beautiful souls. I hope that you are keeping well. I hope that you are enjoying these nights in the holy month of Ramadan. And as they said, one of the best things that we can do on the nights of Qadr is to reflect, tafakkur. And so I hope, inshallah, tonight we can continue on some of the reflections we had from the previous session, and I hope it benefits us. And as I said, these are all reflections, invitations to reflections, invitation to think. We all need to think. I'm sharing some of my reflections with you, and I hope that you actually keep thinking about them, and we can continue this. At the end of the day, we all need to think to make sure we don't fall into the trap. And the main trap that we may fall into is for us to spend so much time, so much effort and energy into religious ceremonies, religious rituals, but not gaining much out of it, right? If it's not done with reflection, if it's not done with thought, if it's only carried out as a habit, it may end up not benefiting us at all. And a day may come after 10 years, 20 years, we look back and we see, okay, we've been doing this all of this time, it didn't really change much, so we may give up on everything. And usually, if you see, look at the people who leave a religion altogether, it's usually the ones who've been more active, the one who are more present, the one who try to do the rituals more. But once they see there's no outcome, that doesn't change their life in any way, they left everything altogether. And in fact, it's a hadith from Imam Ali that adat, habits, rip religion apart, rip worship apart, destroys worship, right? So inshallah, that's what we try to do tonight. Make sure we think and reflect so that our worship, our efforts do not turn into nothing, do not go to waste. As Imam Ali said, habits destroy ibadat, right? And unfortunately, that is the case in a night like this. Most of the things we do are habits, right? Do this, do that, do this many times, do that many times, recite this. Now also a lot of us are commemorating the martyrdom of Imam Ali. Again, that is a lot of the way we do that is a habit, right? Say these things about Imam Ali, say those things about Imam Ali, cry this way, say those things, habits, 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 habits. About whom? A person who himself said habits destroy worships, right? And so tonight I'll try to also talk a little bit about continuing our discussion and reflection about how can we make sure we make the best out of this night of Qadr, link it to our own healing, make sure it helps us with our spiritual growth, make sure it helps us with our connection with God in a real way. I will try and mention hadith from Imam Ali himself so that you see how far we are from Imam Ali. How far? We are so far that sometimes I think Imam Ali would rather we didn't claim to be his followers. Well, some of the Imams have actually said that. Imam Reza told some of his followers that please say whatever you want, just don't say that you follow us, because you don't do the things we want you to do, right? You just say we love you, right? But in terms of action, unfortunately, there is no similarity. Tonight you may hear a lot of people posting on Instagram, Aliyun ma'al haq, wal haqqu ma' Ali. Ali is with the truth, and truth is with Ali, right? So, and we feel a lot of love. We feel like we're expressing our love through this. And it is, they are expressing their love. But the problem is when love is not accompanied with reflection, the way it expresses itself can sometimes be counterproductive. How so? Well, you say, I say, we say, for example, Aliyun ma'al haq, Ali is with the truth. Okay, what are some of these truths that Aliyun ma? What are some of these truths that Imam Ali is with them, and how are they changing our life? Right? Mention a few of them for me or for yourself. And I'm not judging any of us, right? Tonight we're trying to reflect so that we can, inshallah, all benefit more. I'm talking to myself as well, right? Some of these truths that Imam Ali is with them and is changing our life, what are they, right? Actually, tonight, let's discuss some of them. Let's discuss some of them and then see how far we are from those truths, right? And so maybe it's better for us to, instead of following certain habits which don't really change us, instead spend some time, read, reflect, connect truly. Tonight I'm going to even tell you that this Imam Ali that we claim to love so much, and we do, I know we do, but it's a love which is not with reflection. I can show you. It is not with reflection. It is not a love that, or let me say it in another way, it's a love that may not lead to any change. How come? Well, Imam Ali was killed when? Centuries ago. Still, many of us haven't read Nahj al-Balagha. Still, if you look at the Nahj al-Balagha we have, the translation is wrong, and I will show you tonight, inshallah. I will tell you that one of the most beautiful facts about Imam Ali has been kept hidden from us, right? Inshallah, we'll discuss it, and you'll see that how beautiful this person is, how far we are from him, and how if we decide to be close to him, our life would change. So inshallah, we'll come back to all of this. But I want to go back to our discussion which we started the other night about our spiritual healing. And I want to start by mentioning another line from Imam Ali. إلهي ليس لي حول فأنتقل به عن معصيتك إلا في وقت أيقظتني لمحبتك. O God, I have no strength by which to distance myself from the things you don't like, from the things that hurt me, from the things that create a difficulty for me, like anger, jealousy, being far from God, being far from my true self. I have no strength to be far from this, إِلَّا فِي وَقْتٍ أَيْقَظْتَنِي لِمَحَبَّتِكَ, apart from the times in which you have awakened me to your love, apart from the times I feel your love, right? Now, again, this sentence, we can read past and think like we've done a sawab. But tonight I want to say, inshallah, that this one line on its own can change our life, right? This one line. Forget about everything. Forget about everything else Imam Ali said. Just this one line can change life, and I'll try to explain how. And then you see later on, is it better to just recite these du'as and expect thawab, or is it better to just think about them and change your life? Do you want thawab or a changed life, closeness to God, real connection to God? That's up to you to choose, right? So Imam says, there is no strength for me to change myself, to heal myself, apart from the times I feel God's love. And that is the topic of tonight's talk, inshallah. The idea that healing requires love. Healing is impossible without feeling loved. Okay, when we say healing, what do we mean? What are we talking about? We talked a little bit about it in the previous night, so I'll try to elaborate a little bit in case someone hasn't watched that. At the end of the day, whether we are religious or not, whether Shia, non-Shia, this school, this religion, that religion, believing, not believing, a lot of us, we experience life in the same way, right? Most people in the world, you look at them, including all of us, most of us, we feel scared, we feel lonely, we feel heartbroken, we feel stressed, we feel anxious, we get angry, we get jealous. There are things we don't want to happen to us, they happen, and we just break down, right? There are things we want to happen, they don't happen, and we just go crazy, we can't cope with it, right? So if you ask most of us, how are you doing? How are you feeling? You say, I'm getting by, right? I'm not, like, how is life? Is life exciting? Is life beautiful? And you say, sometimes, but not all the times. A lot of the times, I'm barely getting by, right? And it doesn't matter if you're Muslim, Christian, Jewish, believing, non-believing. Most people are like this. Despite the fact that, for example, we claim to be believing in a religion, believing in certain individuals, and we think this is going to help us. But if you look at the experience of our life, it's almost the same as anyone else. Now, why is it like this? Why is it that we don't enjoy life? Why is it that we struggle with life? Why is it that it's so difficult sometimes, right? We can't keep a relationship. Relationships break up. Friendships break up, right? Everything seems to be so difficult, right? Even though, for example, we have a line from Imam Ali when they ask him, it's in Kafi, can you describe a person who has taqwa? And Imam says a person who has taqwa has a sign, right? They always have energy. They're always high, right? Are we like that? And no wonder we're not, right? And again, let me remind us, I'm not judging any of us, right? We're trying to think together, right? So we know how can we heal ourselves? How can we fix ourselves, right? This is not a judgment session at all. Throw judgment once and for all away, right? Let's tonight open an imaginary garbage bag and throw all the judgment we have there. Tonight is not about judgment. So if we're trying to talk a little bit serious, it's so that we can identify where have we gone wrong so that we can fix it and enjoy life. Imam Ali says life is enjoyable, right? دائما نشاطه. When Imam Ali wants to describe how is a person who has taqwa, he says it's a person who's always high, always spiritually high. You know how a lot of time they ask us, how are you? Meh. How was life? Meh. How was marriage? Well, it was good the first few years, but then meh. How are your children? Well, it was nice for a few years. They were so cute, but now they're teenagers. Meh. You know, everything is meh. And that's good, because sometimes it's worse than meh. It's like, oh, it's terrible. It's bad, right? Isn't this our life? Friendship, work, I don't know, relationships, our relationship with our children, with our parents, with our hobbies, with ourselves. Everything is meh if it's not terrible. Why? Imam Ali says it doesn't have to be like this. You can have, right? And now someone may say, well, you don't know. My life is difficult. And I really get it. Sometimes some lives are much more difficult. I am a person who knows that really well, right? From the time I remember, I have seen difficulty. And not just mine, but the people I love. And that is for some people like me even worse. When I see others in difficulty, the people I love, it's much more difficult, right? But difficulty doesn't need to lead to a meh life, right? You can go through difficulties no matter what life is, but still feel energized, right? Still feel great, still feel like life is making sense, still feel connected, still feel in love, right? And how can I show you that every single one of us, or at least most of us, has experienced this? Sometimes we feel like we're having a terrible day, right? And we actually are. It's a terrible day. So many things have happened which we didn't like. And then suddenly a friend which we really love calls and says, you know what, tomorrow I'm going to see you. Nothing has changed. But just this idea that a friend is coming to see us tomorrow and we really missed him gives us so much energy. The same day, everything. So even you've noticed that sometimes life doesn't change. You just hear a good news and you just suddenly feel so energetic, right? So you had that energy inside you, but you just needed something to bring it out. Now, usually in life, it's a good news, right? It's a good news that bring it out. Even in the lowest day, sometimes the good news can change our mood. But we could come back from work, we're tired, we're lying down, no motivation, nothing. You receive a text and says, for example, you know what, that application you sent in has been accepted. One good news, and you get out of the bed and you do things which I cannot say. You're so happy, you're up and down. So where was that energy? Weren't you on the bed? Weren't you so tired? Weren't you feeling well, one good news changed that. So no matter how difficult life is, we still have so much energy that we're not tapping into. but sometimes the good news from the outside brings it. Now, tonight I want to say that we don't need to wait for anything outside us to bring that out. Imam Ali says, a muttaqi, a person who has taqwa, can reach into their own source of energy and always feel high, always feel excited about life, no matter how difficult life is. It's not gonna, I'm not saying like immediately, like nothing bad would happen, but it's the way you deal with it that changes. So why don't we have that? Don't we claim to love Imam Ali? I thought if you say you love Imam Ali, and then you, for example, post on Instagram that Aliun Mal Haq, suddenly you become like Imam Ali. How did that not work? Well, it's not like that, right? And that's what I'm talking about. It's not just like that. By following habits, we don't get anywhere. Every year, this night comes, we do the certain thing. We wear black, well, many people do. And then we post certain things. Oh, Ali, I love you. Oh, Ali, this. Oh, Ali, that. But if you don't follow the things he said, you never become like the way he described. He said, Mu'min is always high. Muttaqi is always high. How far are we from that? Even we can see that we haven't even translated this sentence well. A lot of people translate taqwa as fearing God. Astaghfirullah. God is the only reality in this world which you shouldn't fear. The only thing in this world that you shouldn't fear, that's God. But we have sometimes translated taqwa as fearing God. Look how behind we are. Look how much work we have to do, right? So, inshallah, tonight I'll actually talk about this, why God should not be feared and how that's the most damaging concept that we have had. And it's so weird. It seems like people are addicted to fearing God. The other day I posted something that you shouldn't fear God. A lot of people got offended. Like, no, we want to fear God. Why? Why do you want to believe in a God that you have to fear? That's why none of us wants to be with him, right? Look at Imam Ali. Imam Ali would leave the town, go to the middle of the desert so he can spend time with God, so he could enjoy God's presence. But they've described God to us in a way that we don't want to be next to him. How many of us have left the city to go talk to God, or just like go to his own room and talk to God and enjoy, get energy from it? Not keep saying Ilahi Alaf, Ilahi Alaf, Ilahi Alaf 1,000 times, like as if you're trying to talk to a monster. Well, how many times do you have to say, I'm like Ilahi Alaf, forgot to forgive you? Who are you talking to? Like, on the one hand, we say you are Sari al-Rida, which means that you immediately, not just forgive, but Rida, you become pleased. And then they say, okay, so God is Sari and Rida, immediately he accepts, but please recite Ilahi al-Af 1,000 times. Well, which one is it? Which one? Is he Sari al-Rida, or do I have to say it 1,000 times, or 2,000 times, or 3,000 times, in case he forgot that day that he's Sari al-Rida, right? And now let me show you, if we want to go to the Quran, if we want to go to the Prophet, if we want to go to the life of Imam Ali, how do they describe God? And you'll see it has nothing to do with the God we have in mind. Nothing, zero, total opposite. But before I go there, I just want to mention this. So we said that the reason we're not feeling okay, the reason we don't feel high, the reason Imam Ali says a person who's got connection to God should always be energetic, no matter what happens around him. Life could be difficult, life could be easy, but they never get low. Why are we not like that? Why do I get stressed? Why do I get fear? Why everything for me is meh? My birthday is meh. My friendship is meh. My children after a few years is meh. My marriage after a few years is meh. They even tell others. When Zahra and I got married, everyone was coming to us and said, enjoy the first year because afterward it becomes meh. Why? Yours became meh. Why do you keep telling others that? It doesn't have to be meh. There's something wrong with us that everything becomes meh. We meh life, right? Yeah, meh. It's normal. We're getting by. It's okay. But it's not as exciting as it was. It's not the things outside. It's not your marriage. It's not your friend. It's not your work which is meh. It's here. We need to fix this. On meh inside, Imam Ali says, a mu'min, a muttaqi has unmehed his heart and enjoys everything. Everything. It's beautiful. There's this hadith Qudsi in which God says, don't hate time. You know how sometimes we say, oh, this is such a cursed time. This is a terrible time. This is that. God says, you know, these days I've created them. Don't curse them, right? So you can become in a way that you enjoy every day, even when it's difficult, even when you're hurt. You can be hurt at that moment. You can go through difficulty, but still not lose your energy. So where is the problem? The problem is, first, no one talked to us about this. No one told us, why is this happening to us? We were so much stuck in habits. We were so much stuck in getting rewards, getting thawab, right? Kept telling people, read Quran for shifa, read Quran so you get changed. And if you're not getting changed, go and ask people, why am I not getting changed? But no one cared because they thought they're going to get the thawab, right? You tell people this dua, this Quran is meant to fix you, is meant to turn you, like Imam Ali is saying, that your energy is always high, but no one cared. They say, I want the thawab. Even our charity work is for thawab, right? How do we know our charity work is for thawab? Because a lot of us, it's only in Ramadan that we help. Well, the orphans, the poor, they don't need our help in the other months. So why is it that only in this month we help? Well, because all of us come this month, we remember we need reward. We remember God, we help, so we get rewards. I'm not saying everyone, but many of us. So even when we're helping the poor or this and that, it's for our own savab, which is against what Imam Ali said. In one of his wills, Imam Ali actually said, he says, don't confuse the poor, the hungry. Don't sometimes feed them and sometimes not. Ramadan comes, everyone gets excited, they want the thawab. They remember grandma who's passed away, they go and help. The rest of the year they forget. Imam says, don't keep the orphan hungry one, don't feed them one and then keep them hungry. It's in Imam Ali's will, right? Aliyun ma'al haq, that's one of his haqs. Don't forget about them the rest of the year. Why do we forget? Because we're only in it for the thawab. Quran, thawab. Dua, thawab. Charity, thawab. I just want thawab. Give me thawab. Give me thawab. I don't care if I don't get changed or not. And what we don't know is that it's the change that leads to thawab. What is thawab? Is it some magical points we get? Everything is what happens inside. Thawab is a byproduct of changing inside, right? Now, so what were we saying? The reason we're not changing is that we were not, we didn't care much about changing. Everyone said, yes, in this Quran, there it is the shifa, the cure of the hearts. None of us got cured, but none of us dared to ask, well, where is this cure? Where is this cure? You said the Quran is shifa for the heart. This heart is not cured. Where is your shifa, Quran? Where is it? Right? We didn't ask these questions. Right? It's as if you go to a doctor, the doctor gives you a pill for your headache, let's say. You come back home, your headache is still there, and then you're like, well, the doctor said this pill is going to remove my headache, so maybe this headache is imaginary. No, that headache is there. Our heart is not cured. So whatever this shifa is in the Quran, is in the adiyah, in the hadith, it has not reached us. Right? Because we hurt. We're suffering. Everything is meh. And tonight I'll try to talk a little bit about how can we unmeh? How can we enjoy life? How can we heal? How can we have access to this healing which is in the Quran? Okay. Now, let's just talk a little bit about what happens when our heart gets problem. And I know I've spoken about this a few times, but we need to remind ourselves to keep the flow of the discussion going, right? The reason we're not good is that we keep inside us so many things from the past, right? We keep all the bad memories, all the times we were hurt, all the times we wanted something, we couldn't get it, all the times that someone bullied us, we were insecure about something, someone abandoned us, a friendship ended. We keep everything inside of us, right? And how do we know they're there? Because every now and then something triggers it and it comes out. For example, you were insecure about something and your partner doesn't even mean to upset you, says something, triggers your insecurity and you feel bad, right? Or you have a bad memory, you see a movie or something, it triggers that bad memory, it comes out. You had a fear in childhood or from your high school years. Maybe a teacher was harsh to you or scared you. You have this problem with authority, and now every time your boss says something, you get so stressed. You think life is over, right? We have so many of these baggages inside us from the past, all the hurts, all the insecurities, all the fears, all the stress, right? All the feeling of abandonment. There could be a friendship that ended 15 years ago, but we still carry the pain. Maybe a friend just left us and didn't explain, so we still feel insecure. When we're with our friends, we're like, oh my God, are they going to leave me one day? If I say what I really believe, will they hate me, right? How many of us are we still stuck in past relationship? A relationship happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago, we're still carrying it on, right? So here is full of garbage from the past. Even the things other people did. Someone broke my heart. Someone got angry. I keep their anger here. So not just my own insecurities, my own hurt, my own fear, but other people's garbage as well. The person broke my heart 10 years ago, I keep it here. Another person said something offensive, I keep it here. I keep everything here. And then I wonder why everything is meh, why life is meh. Because all the energy that Imam Ali is talking about, that a muttaqi has, all of it comes to you too. But do you know how much of it gets stuck here? Imagine an energy is coming from your source, from deep down. The energy is coming, the energy Imam Ali said. But some of it gets stuck with your fears. Some of it gets stuck with your insecurities. Some of it gets stuck with for example, the anger that someone showed you and you still kept it, right? So a lot of it gets kept here. The amount that reaches you is what you go on every day with, right? And if a day, for example, you're more triggered, you have less energy, you say, I'm low. If a day you don't get triggered, for example, no one says anything which triggers your insecurity or your stress or your fear, well, more energy comes and you say, you know what, today I'm excited. But the energy that was coming from the source today, yesterday, and every day is the same. The same amount of energy is coming from the core. The only thing is some days, some things we have inside block parts of it, right? So the energy is always there. The energy of connection to God is always there. The energy of connection to our inner self, to our true self, it's always there, which is what Imam Ali is also saying. But what happens is that every day it comes to us, before it reaches us, something on the way blocks it, right? You receive a phone call that you have to send this essay. This deadline is approaching, right? If you haven't learned how to deal with a deadline, you become stressed. It triggers all the bad memories from high school or from uni, or for example, a time you missed a deadline and a teacher said something not nice to you, right? So one email triggers all of that garbage. Now the energy was coming from your source, but now so much of it is blocked by this. And then nothing reaches you. And someone asks you, how's life? Meh, right? Your partner, again, your partner says the smallest thing. It remembers you of a bad memory. It remembers you of your grandma that you, for example, needed to call, you haven't, right? You have guilt that you didn't call grandma. Your partner says something, for example, maybe she went and called her grandma. She's happy. She comes and tells you, it reminds you, you didn't call grandma, right? This blockage gets triggered, your guilt for not calling grandma, and the energy that was coming to you gets blocked here. You feel bad, and someone asks you, how's your relationship? Meh. Well, it's not the relationship which is meh. It's this thing here, the guilt, the fear, right? It's there. It's blocking the energy. That's what is making all of our life mediocre. From our work, from our hobbies, from our passion, from our relationship, from the relationship we have with our children, with our parents, with our friends. Everything is meh. Everything is mediocre. Every now and then something happens, we get excited. Every now and then. But it can be like that the whole time. Now, how do we heal that? A lot of people ask, how do I heal that? How can I fix that? Well, when you want to fix it, the first thing is you need to want to get healed, right? You need to be convinced that after healing, on the other side of this healing, there's something good waiting for you. Because healing sometimes can be difficult, right? This is very important. We're reaching slowly to what Imam Ali said. I cannot heal myself unless when I feel loved, right? So slowly we're getting there. Because what is the process of healing? The process of healing is to slowly realizing that instead of changing the world so I don't get triggered, right, I will go and fix myself so that no matter what the world does, I will never be triggered, right? So how, for example, okay, if as soon as I receive a work email or an email about a deadline, I get stressed, I may think like, okay, you know what, I need to get into a different type of work, or I can't wait for uni to finish so that I don't need to write essays anymore, right? That's how we're dealing with it. Instead of thinking, you know what, if I fix this thing inside me which keeps getting stressed, instead of this I say, you know what, can't wait for uni to finish so I don't get stressed anymore. Now, didn't you want to go to uni? You were so excited, remember? After A level, you got in, you applied, you got in, how excited you are. What happened? Now suddenly you're like, I can't wait for it to finish. Why? Because it became meh, triggered something inside you. Now you can fix this, you can heal this, and enjoy the thing you always wanted. But you don't. You try to change the outside. I can't wait for uni to finish. Or, I don't know, something else. I can't wait to get to a job that no one ever asked me to do. So I want to be my own boss. You know what? That's the way. If I don't want anyone to tell me what to do, I become my own boss. There we go. So we keep trying to change the world. But the problem is that this way you just limit yourself more and more and more. Because there are so many things which triggers you. And if you want to avoid all of them, it means that you have to avoid so much of life. And also, there are certain things that you can never avoid. How can you avoid your children? How can you avoid your partner? Right? So instead, you say, you know what? Is it possible for me to heal myself so that I can still go through the same degree, but just not be super stressed about the deadlines and enjoy it? Well, yes, that's the first step. So instead of changing the outside, you go on inside. You're like, oh my God, I can heal this and then never ever have to worry about the deadlines again. Yes, yes, that's it. You got it. So that was the first step. Instead of looking outside, you look inside, right? And how do you heal something like that? Well, you have to know that these things which happen, right? First of all, I don't need to escape from them. Let me experience them. Let me observe them, right? Okay, this stress came up on me, but Sheikh Javad said, I can heal this. This must have to do with the past memory, right? Everything, by the way, everything your mind tells you about your own personal self, about your worry, stress, all of it has to do with past experiences. Definitely. Every time your mind tries to make you feel better, it's using the data from before and tries to give you a solution. But most of the times, you're better off ignoring what your mind tells you, right? Because your mind doesn't know how much strength you have. It's not connected to your core self, right? At least initially. So it keeps telling you, for example, the stress comes, it's your mind that keeps giving you these solutions. You know what? Change your work, right? Nah, maybe my life is not good. Maybe if that happens, I'll be happy. Maybe if I buy this, I'll be happy. Maybe I change my degree, I'll be happy. Maybe if uni finishes, I'll be happy. Just tell your mind, thank you. No, thank you. You know what? Bless you. You're trying to give me a solution. Thank you. You did your job. I appreciate it. And then just keep it away. Go deep inside and say, you know what? I don't want to do anything outside to fix this. I want to work on myself. So, for example, stress comes, you sit with it. And you're like, okay, stress, what are you? And you just observe stress as it comes through your body. You know, it was the same stress that came, and you, because of it, wanted to change your degree. You said, well, I can't wait for uni to finish, or I need to change my job. Now you say, okay, you're making me do all sorts of these things. What are you? And you just observe it. Oh my God, it's just a feeling in my body, you know? Maybe my heart is pumping a little bit faster. Right? So, this is stress. So when I say I'm stressed and I want to do something, this is what's happening. My heart is just beating a little bit faster. Okay, okay. And it's sending some force to my mind. Like my mind is saying, Jawad, you have to do this. Jawad, you have to change your degree. Jawad, you have to change your job. Jawad, we need to change houses. Jawad this, Jawad that. Jawad, you need to do this. Okay. So it's the stress which is keep sending these thoughts to me. Because I didn't have these thoughts a few minutes ago. So I got stressed. It did certain things to my body. It made my heart just beat a little bit faster. Okay, thank you. This is stress. And then it's sending some thoughts to me, like, you need to do this, you need to do that. Okay. You distance yourself from the thoughts. You know that you are not the thoughts because you can see them. You observe them. They weren't there a minute ago. They weren't there a minute ago. And sit with it for a few minutes. They will go after a few minutes. So as soon as you do this, you realize, oh my God, this degree that I was hoping for, I studied so much for this degree when I was in A level. And now I want it to finish. I can't wait to get rid of it. All because my heart is beating a little bit faster and 4 thoughts came to my mind just because of this. I gave the control of my life just to the increase of speed of my heart and just the thoughts in my head. And when you look at it, everything is like that. Anger is the same, right? What happens when we get angry and we do something which we regret immediately? It creates something in our body. My face gets red maybe, my tongue may get a little bit dry, my heart may again pump faster, right? And thoughts come to my mind. Oh, you have to say this to him. How dare she say that? How dare he say that, right? So you distance yourself from this and you realize, oh my God, it was all anger talking. It wasn't me. Anger did this to my body and sent thoughts to my head, right? Now, if I didn't do this and someone made me angry, what would I have done before? So you know what? This person, I'm going to leave him out of my life. That's it. No more friendship with this person. Why? Because anger took over and I didn't deal with it. So I said, you know what? Let's get rid of this person so he or she never makes us angry anymore. But now instead what I do, I sit with the anger. Say, you know, what are you? Anger, dear anger. Let me experience you. So you do a few things to my body and a few thoughts to my mind. Perfect. That's what you are? Okay, I'll try to sit with it. And then I don't need to let go of this friendship just because this friend triggered something in me that made me angry, right? Or maybe they offended me. Well, what happens when we get offensive? Something inside us gets triggered, right? Even if a person is the most rude and offensive person, they're making a mistake. But no matter how rude a person is, it's us who at the end of the day decides to get offended, right? How? Because let's say a person tells me, Javad, that you can't read. Well, I know I can read. So why would I get offended? They're making a mistake. Now imagine someone comes and says the worst thing to me. Well, I know I'm not that. Or I know I am. Either way, why should I care what someone else is saying? Then Imam Ali said a mu'min always has this energy. So a lot of energy is coming from my true self to me. A lot of energy is coming. And now someone said something about me, like, Sheikh Javad, you're ugly. Sheikh Javad, you're emotional. Sheikh Javad, you're this, you're that, right? Well, all of this energy is coming. Why should I allow this thing that someone said stop me from receiving this energy? Why should I destroy my experience of life because someone said something else? Why? At the end of the day, if we heal ourselves, and inshallah I'll talk about this more maybe in the next sessions because our time is running out, but we can get to a place where no matter what others say, it doesn't trigger anything in us. But if I haven't fixed my insecurities, for example, let's say I'm insecure about my knowledge or my status, as soon as someone, instead of saying Sheikh Javad, says Javad Shomali, how dare he didn't say Sheikh? How dare he didn't call me this? How dare he didn't acknowledge that I have all of this knowledge? What happened? He said something, triggered my own security, right? All of these things came up. My God, this person, how dare, this is a sheikh, right? What was all of that? Insecurity, right? Now, so the first level is you sit with it. You sit with whatever difficult thing that comes. Because if you don't sit with it, you are either going to express it. For example, anger comes, you express anger. You shout. You lash out at someone. That's bad because that creates a pattern. Next time the same energy comes, it becomes, easier for you to get angry because you've already created a pattern. So if you express it, next time it's going to be harder not to. Next time it's going to be harder until you become an angry person. Right? And of course, even then there's chance. But every time you express it, it becomes harder to stop. So if I experience my anger, it doesn't lead to good results. I lash out, I break hearts. How many times have we broken hearts and later on immediately we regret it, right? So all of that happens. But what happens if you push your anger down, if you suppress it? Well, if you suppress it, it goes down. You know where we said we have all these garbages? If you push your anger, your sexual desire, I don't know, whatever thing, your jealousy, if you push it down, it doesn't go anywhere. It remains there, gets stronger, and one day it comes back, right? So what do? You don't push it away. You don't express it. You sit with it and try to heal yourself. You experience the energy, but you distance yourself from it. Okay, stress has come. This is stress. It's not me. I am not stressed. I am experiencing it. It came to my body. It has to do with what happened to me before, right? Maybe someone broke my heart. Maybe someone offended me. Maybe someone scared me. Now this energy has come. Let me sit with it. It's difficult, but you can sit with a difficult experience. You have the power. That's the beautiful part. You can handle it. You're very stronger than you think. Now, usually they say in these cases, start with easier things, right? Start with things which the pattern has not become so strong. Heal those things first. See what is it which is easier for you to heal. Once you heal this, you'll see your power, and then you're like, oh my God, maybe I can fix the other ones too. Maybe you know that addiction I have, or for example, that issue I have with loneliness. I suffer so much from loneliness. So many things trigger this feeling of loneliness in me. So many things triggers this feeling of abandonment in me. This feeling that I have lack motivation, right? Then once you get strength, then you can tackle these. You can heal this. You can heal your loneliness. You can heal your anger, your sexual desires. What if they turn into addiction? Anything you want, you can heal it. But they say start from something simple. And this is why, Imam Musa said, God bless that beautiful, beautiful soul. Imam Musa said the whole reason that God put the fasting and then the nights of Qadr after fasting was to show you your strength. How? During these 20 days, for example, that you fasted, hunger came and it was difficult, or thirst came, but you sat with it. Hunger came and said, you know what, hunger? I know you're doing this to my tummy, my throat is very dry, but right now I can't eat, right? And you sat with your hunger, you sat with your thirst, and it went away, right? So if you do this for 20 days, God did this so you see how strong you are. You can sit with a difficult experience. And after 20 days of this, maybe you find some courage. You know what? Maybe I can tackle harder things. If I manage to sit with my hunger and don't suppress it, don't express it, I just sat with it and experienced the energy. It was difficult, but I didn't let it, make my mood become bad. And of course, if someone does that, well, their fasting is not, there's no outcome for it, right? There are so many people who fast and become grumpy, fast and become angry, fast and they'll lose their temper. Well, that means that that fasting maybe needs to change a little bit, because the whole point for fasting was for you, for me, to experience hunger, the difficulty of it, which is a little bit or maybe too much, but be okay with it. That's the whole point of fasting. You learn to be okay, not to lose your temper, not to get angry, to still have your high energy despite the difficult experience which has come. So that later on, when stress comes, you learn to be okay when stress comes and not allowing it to get your spiritual energy away from you. Now, this is where we reach to the issue of love. Because someone may say, Sheikh Jawad, with hunger is easy, right? But with certain things, man, it's difficult. I've been trying 10 years, 20 years, right? And I've been receiving these messages. Some people say, I'm dealing with porn addiction for 15 years. I'm trying everything I can, but it's not working. Another person says, you know what? I'm dealing with loneliness. Man, I feel lonely. It's not easy. You tell me, sit with it, I can't. As soon as I feel lonely, I go to my mind And it tells me all these things. Oh my God, you're never going to find a partner. You're never going to find love. You're always going to be lonely. You'll never be happy. You'll never be happy. This is going to happen to you. Or sometimes gives the solution. You got to do this. If you don't do this, you'll never be happy. You know? So this is why some people say the mind is the place we go to where we can't handle the heart. When we can't handle the heart, instead of, going deeper and connecting to our true self, because we don't know there is such a thing, we hide from our heart in our mind. We seek refuge from the difficulties of life to our mind. No matter how many times we say, A'udhu billah, God, I seek refuge to you, but we barely seek refuge to God. We seek refuge to our mind, right? So I feel a little bit, because when loneliness, for example, the experience starts, it usually starts very subtle. It has steps. Everything has steps. Anger. It doesn't start with the first second that you get angry and you want to hit someone. No, it starts small. Everything starts small. From the sexual desire, from alcohol, from drug, from loneliness, from whatever it is, from jealousy, from stress, from anxiety. It all starts small. The more you hide in your mind, the stronger it becomes, because then your mind keeps creating thoughts about it, right? Most of us, I think, and if you haven't had this, try to have this in mind next time you'll experience this. Next time you're getting angry, you'll see that initially, the first moment, it wasn't that difficult to let go. The first moment, the very first moment, there is this moment when anger comes that if you grow with it, then it becomes difficult to let go. It's very difficult. Check it. For example, you're in a fight and if I give into this anger, I'm going to go places. I'm going to say something and break my partner's heart, right? But if I just lean away from it, if I lean away from this anger right now, I can rid myself of it, right? It's this split second that we can decide. But usually, because this part is so satisfying to the mind, and we've created a pattern, we usually go that way. Instead of leaning away from anger, right, we lean into it. And if you lean into it in the beginning, then it's become super difficult to stop. And most things are like that. Even feeling loneliness is like that, right? You feel loneliness, it first starts like a feeling in your heart, right? A feeling. It's there, it comes. Now, you can either lean away from it, and I'll explain about this more, maybe inshallah in the next slide, because there's so much that we can say about this. I know this may sound a little bit difficult or vague or complicated. We'll talk about this, right? But just as a kind of introduction that later on we'll come back to it. The moment loneliness comes, you can either lean away from it, if you especially know where to go, right? You have to, inshallah, slowly learn your inside, learn yourself. You know how they say, man arafa nafsah faqad arafa rabbah, have self-knowledge? Because within you, it's a whole world. And slowly, we need to learn the geography of the self, the places inside us, right? How can I lean away from anger? What does it mean to lean into it, to lean towards your true self? We'll talk about all of this. But there's that moment where you have to lean away from loneliness. And it feels so difficult if it's turned into a habit. Now, for each person, it could be a different thing. For someone, it could be anger. For someone, it could be sexual addiction, porn. For anyone, it could be something. Or sometimes just pain, sadness. Sometimes we're addicted to sadness, right? And the moment comes, the first moment, because if you stay with it, if you give into it, then you join the mind, a lot of thought, and becomes a huge thing. But the first moment, there's that moment where you can stay away from it, but it's so difficult. Now, what is the answer? What can help us? Now, there's a beautiful story in which there a few people with an addiction came to a spiritual teacher, right? They said, Ustad, our spiritual teacher, I cannot lean away from my addiction, right? And it's very interesting because right in front of the teacher, the case of the addiction happened. I don't want to tell the whole story. It's a little bit maybe not suitable to share. The moment they were with the spiritual teacher, the thing they were addicted to happened and they couldn't stop themselves. They actually did it, right? And then afterwards, they told the spiritual teacher, see, we're in front of you even, but we can't help ourselves. We don't have it we don't have it. And then the spiritual teacher told them, took them to the same place, created the same environment for them and told, you know what? All I want from you is 1 minute. You're telling me you can't not do it even for 30 seconds, right? You're telling me you can't not do it even for 30 seconds, right? Just 1 minute. Don't do it for me, right? And I will give you, for example, he told them, I'm going to give you a large amount of money, right? I'm going to give you all of this money just for 1 minute. Don't do it. And they didn't. They said, yeah, we can do it. For all this money, we can. For 1 minute. Afterwards, do it as much as you want. Just 1 minute, don't do it. I'll give you all of this money. And all of them managed to stay away from it for 1 minute. And then he told them this. You know why you couldn't do it before? Because you didn't want it enough to get rid of it. Now, this may come as a shock. Sheikh, what are you on about? You're telling me that I don't want to get rid of my addiction, or I don't want to get, for example, rid of my loneliness, etc., or this or that. I'm saying I know you do, but you don't want it enough, right? Imagine the next time you get angry, how difficult it is to stay away from it. Now, you may even say, I can't stay away from anger. I'm just going to lash out. But if someone told you, you know what, just this one time, next time get angry, just this one time, don't get angry, you will get to see whoever you love. I don't know, you'll get to see your best friend, your mother who passed away, or if you're a religious person, you'll get to see Imam Ali. Just this one time, don't get angry. Do you think you could have stopped yourself or not? Right? The hardest anger experience you had, right away, someone will come and say, oh, this is the moment, right? This is the moment where you either have to lean into anger or lean away from it. This is the truth. This is the moment of destiny. You either have to choose this or that. And I know it's so difficult, and I know you always choose this, but just this one time, don't do it right away. You'll see the person you love more than ever. I don't know. Your mom passed away, we'll bring your mom. You'll see your mom. Just this one time, don't get angry, you'll see your mom. You would be able to stop. You would be able to stop. Why? Because they told you that if you just don't do it this one time, you'll see, for example, your mom who passed away, or grandma, or I don't know, if you love the Ahlul Bayt, you see Imam Ali, right away you'll see him, and you will stop. I promise you will stop. Even if you fail this time, next time you will. So the reason we lean into it, we lean into that loneliness, into that anger, into that jealousy, into that feeling offense, into that sexual desire, is that we don't know what is going to happen to us if we stay away from it. We don't love it enough to stay away from it, right? Because what happens at the end of the day? Well, I'm not angry. That's all they tell us. We don't know what's on the other side of it. If someone just told you that you're going to see Imam Ali right away, just this one time, you know what? Next time, get angry. Next time, go for porn. It's okay. Just this one time, don't do it. You'll see Imam Ali. Well, do you know that if we stay away from these things, we can connect to the creator of Imam Ali every single second? Not just like meeting the person we love, just one person. No, the energy that you will get from healing yourself, from leaning away from these, it's so great. It's so amazing. They say it's like seeing all of your loved ones at once, 1,000,000 times more. And all of this energy is in us. But the problem is that we don't know, right? The problem is that we don't know this massive amount of energy and love and joy and beauty can be experienced within me if I heal myself. Now, this is where Imam Ali's hadith comes into story. Because Imam Ali says, God, it is only when I feel I am loved that I can heal myself. Right? So what happens when you feel loved? You receive this energy, this crazy energy, this beautiful energy, right? And also you feel your worth, your value. You're like, wow, I'm a person that can be loved this much. This much love is coming towards me. And all I need to do is lean away from that stress. Of course I'll do it. Maybe difficult, but I'll do it. In the same way that at that moment, I told you just this one time, don't get angry. You'll be able to see, for example, grandma who passed away. You would have stayed away from it, right? That's a scenario. But now I'm telling you, heal yourself, stay away from it. You're going to find inside your true self, your connection to God. It's going to be so crazy, right? Forget about everything they told you about God. Let's throw all of that away. It's going to be so amazing that you would be like, of course I want to lean away from everything. But the problem is that this love has to be real. Words don't have that power, right? Even if someone tells you God loves you, God loves me, so what? Dude, this anger is stronger. I can't lean away from it. It has to be there. It has to be real. It has to, it has to be boiling inside you, this love, so that at the moment when anger is there, you have something else to lean towards. A'udhu billah, right? A'udhu billah. But which Allah? The word? No, the one you feel. It has to be more beautiful, stronger than the anger. Otherwise, it won't work. Otherwise, it won't work. That's why Imam Ali is saying, God, if I don't feel your love, not if someone doesn't tell me about your love, no, if I don't feel your love inside, if I don't feel that it's worth it to get rid of this anger, I can't. The moment comes, I lean into it. Now, how can we feel God's love? I feel like our time is running over. Let me see, what time is it? Maybe we can, because I want to finish this, okay? I will quickly finish this live session, start another one immediately, right? Because Instagram only allows 1 hour. So I will close this and start another one. Please join us there, and I'll talk a little bit about how can we feel that love, okay? So I'll finish this and start another one immediately. Join us there.